board, and this is Tyler Zimmer. We're from Kaldies Coffee, and we're going to spend some time here today going through information about sourcing coffee. And basically what that means is, how does coffee end up in your cup? Going through some of the steps, different methods, and different terms used on coffee bags and labels to try to make that easier for you all to understand, and hopefully in the long run make your coffee experience more enjoyable and more inspiring. So I'll start with the introduction. I'm a barista trainer basically for Kaldies. I go around to our different coffee houses, locations like SIUE, and wholesale customers, and help people who serve our coffee do it greatly. At least that's my hope. So that every cup of coffee has not only a good taste behind it, but also a good story and an enthused barista. And Tyler here, I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm one of the roasters at Kaldies, so we roast all of our coffee, in case you don't know. Midtown St. Louis, so I'm a roaster. I'm also the green coffee buyer, so I get to make decisions as far as what coffees that we're drinking and you guys are serving here, and also get to travel a little bit. This past year I've been to Costa Rica, Colombia, and Ethiopia, working a little more directly with farms that we support there. So I do have a fun job. Definitely got to see a lot of things, and hopefully you guys get to enjoy the coffee here.
And probably just be helpful really quickly just that we kind of talk about Kaldies, our company history, just very briefly. We started in 1994 as a coffee house and kind of on the border of Clayton and St. Louis, just west of Forest Park. Started as a coffee house and quickly started roasting coffee in that coffee house. And at that time, coffee roasting wasn't nearly as widespread as it is today. And just the fact that we were doing something that people could see and smell and taste all in one place was really inspiring. So we started selling our coffee to other restaurants and cafes, and probably over the next 10 years we really developed a wholesale program where a lot of places within the St. Louis area started serving our customers. Then about 5 years ago we really started expanding our retail operations to be at more places like SIUE and Schnucks coffee houses, at Washington University, and in our own owned and operated coffee houses. And along that process, over the last 15 years, we've learned so much about coffee. When we started, we probably didn't have we didn't really have any idea about coffee other than we needed to roast it. And today, we're focused much more on the places that coffee comes from, along with the tastes that come in the cups. Have anything to add to that, Tyler? So we're here today to kind of help you learn more about why to drink Kaldies, why to care about where your coffee comes from. And we'll have a lot of time for questions. Right now it's a really small crowd, so if people have questions as we go, just shoot your hand up and you can yell back and forth at each other. That's kind of the zone that coffee grows in. Coffee also requires high altitude. The higher the coffee is grown, the slower it develops and the better it tastes. Coffee grows on a tree, a lot like this one here. It's a short evergreen bush. And every rainy cycle, basically, it will produce flowers, and then eventually it will produce little small cherries. And inside these cherries are 2 seeds, and those seeds are what turn into our coffee beans. Beans are actually seeds of the coffee fruit. And there's a long and very complicated and traditional process of growing these trees, and then picking the fruit and removing that fruit from the seeds to get the dried coffee seed. And that process, that entire thing is really called growing and processing. It's kind of an unglorious term for a pretty rich set of steps and very interesting and diverse set of historical traditions and practices. And as we progress as coffee drinking people, those traditions and processes have also improved. After the coffee is dry at origin is when we really get involved with it for the most part. We import that coffee through importers and then turn those roasted seeds with a coffee roaster into the product that gets ground and turned into coffee eventually. So that's a very basic summary, but we go from a tree close to the equator up high in the mountains to a little seed or a little piece of fruit, and then take that fruit off and get the seed out, and then roast the seed to have coffee. Any questions on that? All right, so we're going to talk about sourcing. And again, when we say sourcing, it's how do we get those dried seeds from countries of origin like Costa Rica, Kenya, Sumatra, actually Sumatra's not a country, Indonesia. How do we get those from those countries of origin to kaldies and then into your coffee cup? So this here is a layout of the traditional sourcing method. Coffee starts at the farm level. From the farm, it goes to a mill where that fruit is removed, and then the coffee is dried and prepared to be exported. It then goes to an exporter. That exporter sells coffee to an importer within the United States. And that importer then sells coffee to us, kaldies, as a roaster. And we in turn then sell it to a consumer, sometimes two consumers. Sometimes we sell that coffee to SIUE, and then they sell it to you as a consumer. So all of these steps can be broken down into even smaller steps and can get very complicated if we let them. So that's the traditional method. That's how most coffee is bought and sold and sourced.